The 2004 Honda S2000, also known as the AP2 Honda S2000. Hello guys, it's Joe Tunney here visiting my friends at BMW of Hawaii and taking a look at a really interesting, amazing car on their front line that was traded in here at BMW of Hawaii. An AP2, a first year AP2, 2004 Honda S2000. And a lot of people who follow S2000s know that there are two S-body platforms, the AP1, which came out from 2000 to 2003, and the AP2, which came out 2004 and thereafter. What you might not realize is the AP2 is not the second platform, it is in fact the seventh S-body platform, and you have to go way, way, way back into Honda history to understand the history of the S car. It was never available in the United States until 2000, but the original S360, the very first car that Honda ever made, came out in 1962. They never sold any of them, and instead they did a little micro truck on that same chassis called the T360. So a little trivia question there, that was actually the first car that Honda ever sold, was a truck. However, in the following year, 1963, they did come out with the S500, and it was a half-liter, 44 horsepower, rear-wheel drive convertible that had a double overhead camshaft, 4-in-line, all this cool Honda technology that we've come to know and love. But 44 horsepower out of a half-liter, way back when, was actually quite a lot of power, and it had a 9,500 RPM rev limit. The following year, 1964, they come out with two variations, the S600 Coupe and the S600 Convertible. The original S500 had a chain drive, the S600 had dual chain drive, and then after that became the famous S800, which is one of the most valuable cars in the history of Honda. It had 70 horsepower, a 10,000 RPM redline, and went 100 miles an hour. And so it wasn't until the mid-90s that Honda wanted to reintroduce the S platform. They wanted to do it for their 50th anniversary coming up in the year 2000 of being an independent brand. So Ichiro Honda, one of my great idols in the history of the car business, absolutely a regular guy, made piston rings for Toyota back in the old days, and his work was considered so bad that he was fired. He goes back to college, takes all the money that he can compile and starts a new process, a new mechanical engineering process where his assembly process is different than other things that have been done at the time. Catches the eye of the Japanese government, they subsidize him, he builds a big factory, it's bombed. During World War II, he loses everything and goes to all his friends and neighbors and begs and pleads, please help subsidize me for a new factory, and uses all the credibility he has in the world, builds a great new factory only to find it leveled in an earthquake, and he loses everything again. But he's an absolute survivor. He starts his own brand a few years later, and here we are today. 1995, and one of his designers builds a new car called the SSM. It's shown at the Geneva car show in 1995. It's radically different than anything Honda's done since the S-body. It's a rear-wheel drive convertible with a 5-cylinder engine. That was kind of a thing with Honda back then. If you can remember, the Acura Vigor was a 5-cylinder engine, but it was mechanically powerful, structurally sound, and designed for race. They do come out with a car in 2000, and that is the S2000, this car right here, riding on a 94.5-inch wheelbase and sporting an enormous amount of power. Let's pop the hood and take a look. The engine is called the F20C. It puts out 247 horsepower in 2000 to go with 155 pound-feet of torque. That's available in Japan. In the United States, you get the F20C1. That comes out with 237 horsepower to go with 155 pound-feet of torque. The amazing thing about that car is that it had a 9,200 RPM rev limit, and so the pistons were going up and down so fast that the mean piston velocity was actually, the travel was 25.7 meters per second, which is insane because pistons are so small. To go that far, that fast per second was an all-time record in the automobile industry, and it wasn't defeated until 2017. The Audi R8 V10 engine did it in 26.7. However, unlike the Audi V10, a la Lamborghini V10, the reliability on that car after 50,000 miles, 70,000 miles, well, maybe not the most reliable engine that's ever been made, and probably fantastically expensive to deal with as the years go on. Where the Honda, despite having an incredible amount of power for such a small displacement engine, has proven to be absolutely bulletproof over the years. 2004, when the AP2 comes out, that's this one right here, power stays the same at 237 horsepower. However, torque goes up to 162, and it does it at a more relaxed 8,300 revolutions per minute maximum for the engine. Let's take a look around. One of the other distinctive characteristics of the S2000 for 2004 are 17-inch wheels. And although the engine looks the same as the prior model, it's actually 2157 cc, so technically it's an F20C1 engine. The suspension, well, it's a little bit different. The calibrations are different for the 2004 model, and then the subframe is much stiffer than before. Taking a look inside, well, all S2000s are two-seaters. They're all convertibles, and they all have a power roof. Now this one has 70,000 miles. That's kind of where you want one on the used car market. The reason is it's pretty darn affordable for what it is, but it's still very low miles. When you get one with super low miles, well, of course, that's even better, but the price absolutely skyrockets on these. This is one of the rock solid for certain collectible cars that you can daily drive. Maybe the absolutely best for reliability, resale value, and just high performance fun. That combination of elements, it's probably the best of any car in the entire industry. I'm going to pop the trunk. The trunk release is actually kind of in this rearward mid-center console. So 94.5-inch wheelbase with all that power. It's just a click over 2,800 pounds, so it's not super heavy despite being a convertible. But it is awfully, awfully fast. It does not have a huge trunk, but having owned one of these before, you can absolutely make do. This one has the original factory radio available as well. Come on around and let's take a look inside. So Daisuke Sawai is the gentleman who actually created this car for Honda back in the mid-90s and also designed the AP1 and AP2 versions of this. One big difference that they handled in the AP2 is the 6-speed manual transmission. All S2000s have a 6-speed, they all have air conditioning, they all have a power convertible top. The one problem I had in mine, I had a 2000 that I bought in 2001, were the synchros. Well, you know, you shift hard in this car because you're going so fast. The synchros actually break down over time. They're made out of brass, and you get that kind of crunching sound when you jam it into gear. And so I had my transmission replaced under warranty. The 2004 models do not use brass synchros. They use carbon fiber synchros, which are unbelievably strong. In fact, everything about this car is unbelievably strong. For the first 4 years, it was made in Kanazawa in Japan alongside the Acura NSX. I mean, that's the brand's halo car of all halo cars, and these are cobbled together side by side. In 2004, they moved manufacturing over to Suzuka, and so there is some of that lost allure of being handmade alongside of the NSX, but quality is actually proven to be absolutely superb on the AP2, same as the AP1. This is absolutely one of the legendary great cars in the history of the car business. It goes unnoticed all the time because it only comes in a manual shift. It doesn't have a back seat. They've been around a long time. You feel like, it's an old car. I mean, how nice can it be? Real nice. This particular 70,000 mile car, black on black, this is a rock solid investment. But any S2000, so long as it passes inspection at your Honda mechanic, is a great car. This particular one is a really, really great deal. And if you have any questions about it, don't hesitate to reach out to my friends at BMW Hawaii, or reach out to me anytime at joeloveshawaii@gmail.com.